Om Shanti. Do obstacles come to everyone? Probably. And then the way we deal with them and what we learn from them is whether we pass with honor or whether we get stuck. That's what it's all about. I was thinking of how in the early days, immediately they came to Mount Abu. On an external level, it was a very, very difficult, challenging time. And yet, when the Dadis speak about that period, they speak about it with just simply the experience of Baba's love. They don't speak about it as being challenging or difficult or troublesome, but yet having to face poverty, having to face opposition, having to face illness, all of those things. And they sailed through it all, and they didn't call it an obstacle. But also I'm thinking that when the Dadis went through all of this, then what sustained them was just their love for Baba and their experience of Baba's love. Sometimes when we go through obstacles, then we think of them as being very difficult or troublesome. Or sometimes we try to think about the blame. This one made that happen, or this one made this happen. And that multiplies, it intensifies the problem. And when we look back on that period, we don't think about the power of Baba's love that pulled us through that, but we think about the pain that we felt and the experience of that sorrow. And of course, that means that we are still carrying the impact of that obstacle along with us much, much later. And in one particular case, I saw a person talk about their past, and at times I've heard them speak about it very beautifully. I know that they'd had a lot of experience of Baba's love and for them and theirs for Baba. But when they were speaking about the challenging period they'd been through, it was still carrying a lot of pain. And sometime later, this person developed a major health issue, and they weren't able to deal with that either. And instead of thinking of all the good times that they'd experienced, they kept thinking of all the difficult times. And so they just weren't able to deal with the illness, and the illness got worse and worse. It was a very practical example of a person who lived in pain from things that happened in the past and carried that, and that actually impacted their physical health. So, a very important warning sign. Yes, we all face obstacles. There'll be different things that we have to deal with that come our way. But if I can hold on to Baba's hand and go through that experience with the power of Baba's love, and then see what lessons I've learned from it, but also don't allow it to leave an imprint of pain in my heart, then that's going to be very helpful for me, not just spiritually, but even in terms of keeping physical health. It was a very, very vivid lesson. So, why do obstacles come? There are two reasons that I've heard Baba and Dadi speak of. And one sounds very, very basic, and it is, but it's of course connected with many other things. And Baba tells us that if there isn't the practice of soul consciousness, then next thing is that I make a mistake. And if having made a mistake, I don't immediately stop and realize, then that mistake in itself becomes an obstacle. Think about it in a very simple way, and how on the one side it's yoga that's going to help me deal with all my karmic issues, whether my own sanskars or my reactions to external things. But when something happens, then it's my yoga that gets affected. And so my yoga, instead of being with God, it's with the situation. Exactly what Babu was talking about the other day. In Hindi, Baat and Bap. The thing, Baat, whatever the situation is, or Baba, the father. It can't be both together. And so here am I troubled by a situation, and that's what's spinning around in my head. So it's yoga that would help me deal with this, but it's my yoga that's affected. And so obstacles come in my yoga. And it started simply with lack of attention, lack of soul consciousness, because essentially the whole subject of soul consciousness is a question of attention. It's not that I don't understand. It's not even that I haven't experienced. I understand, I've experienced, I've benefited, I've seen the effect. And then what happened? Just a little bit of lack of attention. And that lack of attention, and again, I get pulled into this, the consciousness of the body. And in that situation then, of course, it's going to be, next step is going to be some mistake or another. And that's coming from deep within my own sanskars. Whatever is my Achilles heel, that's the thing that'll always get me. That's the mistake I'll keep making again and again. Whether it's my habit of dependency on a human being, whether it's my addiction to shopping, whatever it may be. Even for Brahmins, sometimes Brahmins haven't yet let go of the habit of shopping. So different things can happen, but it'll be usually the same sanskar that keeps coming up time and again. And this is what again and again will make me stumble. And so, dealing with the obstacle, it's come, I've made a mistake, and here it is in front of me. What I've found is that two things help me enormously. One is remembering why it is Baba loves me. Just recognizing that even though I've made a mistake, Baba loves me and Baba has selected me. And that trust in Baba, together with that, the confidence and the trust in the self, because it's Baba who loves me, not just me saying, I love you, Baba, but Baba has found me. And so that restores my belief in myself and gives me the conviction that yes, I can move on. But the second thing is just holding on to the things that I can do. I can make sure I get up for Amrit Vela, even if I'm not having a fantastic experience and it's a bit of a struggle. It's okay. Let me do it. I remember at one point, Baba saying to me very, very sweetly, in the days we were able to have conversations with Baba, Baba said, even if you feel dozy, it's okay, still get up. And I remember a conversation with somebody and they said, well, surely it's better to go to sleep rather than sit there and doze and impact the atmosphere. And I said, well, what Baba had said was just keep on with it, because that habit of the discipline of waking up at Amrit Vela, Baba is seeing my commitment commitment to that discipline. And okay, if today I need some coffee and tomorrow I need a bit more coffee, it's okay. But Baba's seeing my commitment and my discipline. And so let me continue to do that. If it means there's some type of service that I can do, which I can carry on doing, let me continue to do that. So whatever it is I can do, Murli, I can definitely do that, no excuses. So whether it's yoga, whether it's Murli, whether it's service, let me carry on accumulating the brownie points or the good credit points, good karma. Just as much good karma as I can through the day, so that I'm accumulating the power of that, and that also is going to help me deal with whichever aspect of my sanskars it is that's coming up. Because why is it that a situation is an obstacle for somebody and not such a big deal for another? It's something to do with my own sanskars and the way that my own sanskars have shaped my attitude and my vision of whatever it is that's going on. And so, if I'm in the business of changing my sanskars, then all of these things that Baba has created for us are there for us to take benefit from, especially at a time when there's challenges in my way. And so to take help from all of these different angles and just keep moving on is very, very valuable. In Bhakti they say that when there's an obstacle, then they tell you to wear a ring of the 9 stones, the 9 jewels. Sometimes it's circular, sometimes it's a square, and the one in the middle is the diamond, the Shiv Baba, but the 8 jewels. And I think about where did that idea come from? And before Gyan, I would have said, well, that's another bit of bhakti superstition. And today I say, well, it's a memorial of something. And so it's definitely a memorial of being able to take help from the 8 jewels. The 8 jewels are not so accessible to us anymore. And most of the 8 jewels have become avyakt. We have a few of them still around, but again, it's just not possible to go talk to them about obstacles anymore. That time has gone. But the things that they have taught us already, and it's not just through their classes, it's through their lives, through their stories. Just think about the stories you've heard of Dadi Prakashmani. I'm sure everybody here has heard stories of Dadi Prakashmani, even if they haven't all taken sustenance from Dadi Prakashmani. Am I right? Who took sustenance from Dadi Prakashmani? It's about half. It's already 8 years now, so time moves very quickly. And so about half, less than 8 years in Gyan, which is what I would have expected. So definitely one of the 8 jewels. Dadi spoke about her this morning and her taking that last drishti from Baba and holding Baba's hand. Dadi Janki. Many, many of us have taken a huge amount of sustenance from her. But again today, yes, she's still sharing, and I think it was at some point through the season that Baba said to her, nobody can ever say, I can't do this. They just have to see your example and how much you were doing. And so there's no one then who can say, but this excuse, that excuse, or the other excuse. So you're still an inspiration for everyone, which is a fact, not just an inspiration for doing, but also just, she's gone back to that stage of that childlike chuckle. And we never used to hear that a few years ago, But in the last couple of years, she's developed this, and she'll say a few sentences, then she'll pause and have a little chuckle, and then she'll carry on. So just seeing the childlike innocence and joy that she radiates coming very much to the forefront. So that's again a very lovely experience of being in the presence of somebody who's just constantly with Baba. So taking inspiration from the 8 jewels, and human beings, very much human, but you know the story of the yajna, and you know how they dealt with things not just in the days of Hyderabad and Karachi, but also in the early days of service. London, and the hard ground that Dadi Ratan Moini, Dr. Nirmala, Dadi Janki had to deal with in the early days, or anywhere where service started. Everywhere is hard ground in Kali Yuga. And so we know that they faced everything, and yet they were able to sail through all of those things and just continue to do Baba's work. And so passing with honor through all of these things, I think it's a question of just holding on to the basic principles that Baba has taught us. I want to share another story, and it's the story of somebody who'd broken the biggest principle, the first one, that of purity. And he disappeared, and we didn't know why he disappeared. He was coming, everything seemed fine, and then he's not around anymore. And quite a while later, he reappeared, and he spoke to Dadi, and he was very honest, and he spoke about what had happened. And he then said to Dadi, I really want to be able to move forward. What should I do now? And Dadi's reply was, let there be 100 acts of good karma that you do now to make up for whatever it is that's happened. And I share that story because I know that sometimes we feel whatever mistake we've made or whatever obstacle we've been through is so huge, how can I ever again move forward? But here was Baba, Dadi, in this case it was Dadi telling this person, it's okay, now that you've realized and you've been able to be honest about it, just make sure that now you're focusing on good karma all the time. And I don't know that he ever counted whether it was 100 good karma that he did, but probably he did more than 100 good karma after that. And so whatever it is that happens, Baba's never going to say, it's too late, at least not at this moment. What happens in the future, let's see. But Baba's never going to say, you can't catch up or you can't make up. Whatever it is that's happened, okay, now what do I do about it at this moment? And even if it's a recurring sanskar that keeps coming up time and again, if I keep making sure that I'm persistent with my effort, the sanskar is persistent, but if I'm more persistent with my effort, then it's going to be my effort that's going to win and not the sanskar. So, just out of all of this, I'm seeing that the thing that really brings us down is hopelessness. And where I lose hope for myself, then that state of hopelessness is such that even Baba's Murli doesn't help me anymore. Trying to have yoga doesn't work. If I'm feeling hopeless, then my mind is going around in a very different direction to the quality of thoughts that are needed to be able to lift off and have yoga. Think about how an aeroplane needs highly refined fuel, or even better, a rocket, if there's a rocket, then it needs very, very refined fuel to be able to move up and go beyond gravity. If the soul is to lift off and go beyond the pull of the physical dimension and go to Baba, I need to have that quality of pure thoughts, highly refined thoughts. And if I can maintain those very refined, high-quality thoughts for even a short space of time, I'll begin to see my way through the clouds and I'll be able to reach Baba. But thoughts of hopelessness are absolutely the opposite to refined, high-caliber thoughts that can take me up. Thoughts of hopelessness are going to bring me down. And of course, if I'm feeling hopeless about myself, and it's a reality, whatever it is I'm not able to do, I project that on others and I say, they're not able to do that either. It's just the way we are made. I think that it's difficult for me, so I think it must be difficult for everyone else. And if I'm feeling it's easy and light and I'm able to move forward, then I have the same view of others, that others are able to do that too. This is why for Dadi, she'll say, of course it's easy, it is easy. Baba has a different view. Baba has a 360-degree view. And so at times Baba will say it's easy, and at times Baba will say it's difficult, because Baba's understanding both sides of it. But human perspective is usually whatever it is I'm going through and wherever I'm at, I'll project that. Somebody told me at one point, it isn't possible for people to manage without attachment. So where do you think they were coming from? And yet I have seen people being able to deal with attachments. I know that I've been through attachments and come out the other side. So it is possible, but here's somebody who's saying absolutely categorically it's not possible. And the reason is that they haven't been able to deal with it. So hopelessness. And if I maintain hope for myself, then that's the vision I'll hold for others also. And I think that's been the beautiful thing about the Dadis. Baba, of course, just listen to Baba, and even the last number bead of the rosary is special in Baba's eyes, because Baba tells us that they love Baba, and so Baba loves them. But any one of the Dadis, and they'll always hold this vision of beauty and truth for you and enable you to change your vision about yourself and be able to reach that vision. So let me hold that vision for myself. Time is telling us that it isn't going to be possible to take support from others around us. This is more and more the way things are going. And so I need to be able to keep my own vision very elevated for myself, even in a period when there seem to be very big challenges that come my way. And so holding that vision means that I can hold hope for myself and keep courage and keep moving on. The other thing that I've seen, faith in myself, remembering the faith that Baba has in me, that always gives me courage, but also faith in my own victory. Victory leads to faith, sure, but faith in my own victory, which means if I've come this far, a few years, well, that's a long time with Baba. Many years, well, I've had a lot of time to learn through all my experiences and all the things that I've been through. Well, that's benefit, benefit, benefit. But Baba's been guiding me through all of that, and I've come this far, however long it's been. And so I know that Baba is going to carry me through to victory, finally. That's my destination. I think that nurturing that faith within myself also means that I know that it's an obstacle that's come, it's come, but it'll pass, it'll go, it'll finish, and I'll be able to go beyond it. I'll come out the other side. And so I think that that whole thing about faith is a very, very important quality. I remember at one point that he had asked us the question, and it's something that we've done amongst ourselves also. Are you able to identify a speciality that you see in yourself? Sometimes it's easier to make a list of our weaknesses than it is to make a list of our specialities. And in both cases, it needs that stage of detachment and soul consciousness so that I can identify my weaknesses, but I can also identify my specialities. If it's only my specialities I see and it's ego, I'm going to fall somewhere. And if I don't see my specialities, I only see my weaknesses, again, I'm going to get stuck. But that stage of detachment and being the observer for myself and being able to see both sides. And one of the things that I thought about for myself had been just faith. And it wasn't faith in myself as a starter, it was faith in Baba. In fact, Baba had to remind me to have faith in myself. But faith in Baba. And I realized that when I started my spiritual journey, the only thing that moved me was just simply faith in Baba. I didn't develop that faith in a sense. It wasn't that faith gradually became stronger and stronger, but this is Baba. And that faith is what has kept me going. And so faith that this is Baba, and in a way it's not a big thing. I can see it can be a very big thing, because what's the difference between a Brahmin and a non-Brahmin? What is it that here's a good person, they're maybe wanting to do good in the world, everything seems to be okay, but what is it that's not allowing them to take a jump and make a commitment to a Brahmin life? I think it's a question of faith. And so for people who are not Brahmins, how do you suddenly discover faith? I don't think you can. In the sense that, like Baba says, the story of 84 births is there recorded in the soul. And if it's not there, it's just not there. And if it is there you go. Then Baba was talking about the signs of those with faith and how, yes, they'll nod their head and they'll say, yes, I understand, they'll accept. Won't be a struggle to accept. So faith in Baba, I'd put down as my speciality, because I could see that through all the challenges that have come, that faith hasn't shaken. And I share this because why should it be a speciality? It's nothing that you've worked for or striven for or made any effort for, but it's there. And so I'm sure that many, many souls here, how come you're with Baba? It's your faith. And so faith in Baba and faith in my victory, because Baba has carried me this far, and so whatever is to come in the future, Baba will also carry me through that. And so not to let the obstacle become bigger than it actually is, and knowing that it'll pass, and knowing that Baba's actually given me the tools already for me to go through it and pass. It's honor for the teacher if the student passes the exam. And so Baba is on my side. Baba wants me to pass the exam. You know how sometimes Baba says in the Murli, it comes up and Baba's saying, children say, Baba, why did you send Maya to me? And can you tell Maya to go away? And it's not Baba who's sending Maya, that's a fact. Maya is coming because of my own sanskars. There's something that's being triggered in me that's creating this reaction, this response. And so it's showing me what there is within myself that I have to deal with. But Baba's rooting for me. Baba's on my side. Baba's wanting me to have victory. And the test wouldn't have come if I wasn't ready for that test. Makes sense to me that if there's a child in the first year, the teacher isn't going to give him a test that's going to be for the fourth year. So Brahma is presenting me with a test. It's not Baba, but Brahma is a big, big teacher. And so Brahma is presenting me with a test, but it's only going to be according to my own capacity. It's never going to be bigger than my capacity. And in fact, I'm remembering a song that's a very beautiful song that just came up last year, I think. And when I first heard it, I was very taken with it, and I still love it. And it's a song about how don't tell God that the obstacles are very big. Tell the obstacles that my God is bigger than you. It's, I don't know if some of you might recognize the song. Maybe if the person, okay, we might hear it later on. But that's what it is, that the obstacle is never too big. It's actually just coming to show me how far I've been able to move forward and how much further it is I need to go. So, obstacles are part of Kali Yuga, obstacles are part of the journey, obstacles are part of the process by which I become the deity. There's a story that I'd read, and it was some time ago, and the story was about how tiles that were going to be used for the floor and an image, an idol, were having a conversation. And the tile said to the idol, how come you're going to be worshipped and I'm going to be trodden on, and that's going to be my destiny for the whole of the future? And the idol said, it's because I continued to sustain all the hammering by the sculptor, and I survived. And the tile realized that when the marble was being hammered, then the tile had fallen off and smashed, and so it was just bits that were then taken and put together, and they would become the floor and be trodden on. And so the hammering is happening, the obstacles are coming, but if I can survive that and be intact, then I'll be that image that is worshipped in bhakti. And if I don't manage it, and I say, it's too much, I don't want this anymore, and I just fall off and there I go by the wayside, then what's the future? So, just a little image, but illustrating the capacity for tolerance, tolerating people. Today Baba spoke about how the relationship of the lover and the beloved, or the husband and wife, is one that should be faithfulness till the end and togetherness till the end. And yet, what is it that breaks the relationship down? the clash of sanskars. And just within the Brahmin family, this family and my ability to be able to manage within the family and not react to the sanskars of others, to be able to adjust and flex with the situation with them and not react. My tolerance capacity in that regard. If I can develop that tolerance capacity, then I'm going to carry on. If I don't develop that tolerance capacity, it's going to be very difficult. And little things will create sorrow and cause distress. And so, whatever has happened up until now, how do I see the future and the straight, final part of the race to get to my destination? I see how if I've been able to learn about myself and see what are the sanskars that keep tripping me up, that's maybe the biggest gift of time and experience and drama. Secondly, if I can see what is it that shakes my yoga and how is it I can strengthen my own yoga. How much time I need to give my body. I need to learn about that, because one of the things that interferes in yoga, and it's not Maya, we might think it's Maya, but it's actually just the body saying, I need more rest. And so have I understood what my own physical needs are? You know, like some people tell me, if I don't eat at night, I won't be able to sleep. Fine. And there'll be another person who tells me, if I eat late at night, then I won't be able to get up in the morning. So one can't sleep, one can't get up. It's different bodies and different constituents in terms of what is good for me, what isn't good for me. So my own experience and understanding of what helps me stay very clear-headed, alert, because that's what yoga needs. It needs a clear head. And that means physically taking care of myself, but it also means mentally, emotionally. If my head isn't clear, my feelings are muddled and confused. Again, what happens to the yoga? So to have learned lessons about how to be able to maintain my yoga and develop and increase my yoga, again, if I've learned those lessons, it'll be fast and straight. The third thing that I also need to be very aware of, today Daddy spoke about likes and dislikes. And it's personalities, it's people, it's things, in the sense that this is something I like doing, this is something I don't like doing. If I've learned to keep a path of equanimity within all of those things, whether it's people or chores or duties or responsibilities, whatever it may be, but if I've learned to deal with all of that with equanimity, again, things won't shake me and I won't get into a state of upheaval with all of that, because I want to come to that point of stability where really I can trust myself and I also have the trust of others, because that trust from others is going to support me on my journey too. And the other thing that I need to be very, very aware of is the quality of my thoughts. There's a trigger that comes within our minds that creates a downward spiral. And if I can learn and identify that trigger, And it creates, firstly, a feeling that I'm uncomfortable with. It's not a feeling that's a good feeling, a feeling all is fine, all is well, but it's a different feeling. So what is that feeling that comes when that waste thought comes? And I mustn't let it go beyond that, because if it carries on, it's going to really pull me down. And so to pay quality attention on what's going on in my own mind. And when Baba says, intense effort maker, my understanding of intense effort maker is not external hard work, but it's that inner attention on what's going on within. And that intense attention, that for me is intense effort, that intense attention on checking myself and the thoughts that come up. There'll come a point of time when all thoughts are pure and elevated and noble, and it'll be the indication that yes, I'll have gone through all the churning and cleansing processes of sanskars, and so only the highest and the best and the beautiful remain. But until that point, the thought will give me an idea of what's going on and attention to that, and then I'll make sure that other things don't take over. So maybe the one word that I would use to describe as being the opposite of obstacle is the state of mastery. Being the master of my mind, being the master of my own feelings, and being able to take charge of myself, whatever it is that's coming my way. And in that state of mastery, yes, victory, definitely. So, those are the thoughts that I want to share on the subject. Got a few minutes before yoga. Any questions? But we'll need a microphone here. Until the microphone arrives, a chance for you to reflect. Okay. Question? No questions. Wonderful. If there is a question, then you'll have to come here. And if it's a different language, that's also fine. You can have somebody translate. And it's nice if you tell us your name and country.
Oui, je suis Marie-Josée Longchamp de Suisse. Je suis congolaise d'origine. Voilà. Je voudrais remercier Dadi pour ces belles réflexions.
One second. Can there be a translator, French translator, please?
Qu'est-ce que je fais?
Yeah, someone's coming. Oh, 2 people are coming. But Christella's coming.
Je connais. Oui, c'est juste.
So, I'm Marie-Josée from Switzerland. And I come from Congo, RDC.
C'est ma première fois ici.
I'm a first timer in Madhuban.
Et merci beaucoup pour cette belle interview qu'elle nous a faite. Mais j'aimerais savoir.
You can use the microphone to put your question so those who understand French can understand your question.
J'aimerais savoir si elle peut nous éclairer sur les pensées pures, parce que souvent je me perds un peu moi-même, vu que je viens à peine d'entrer dans cette, de connaître, d'avoir accès à la connaissance, et surtout de nous éclairer sur les pensées pures.
Actually, as I'm new in the knowledge, I would like some clarification on pure thoughts.
Thoughts.
Yes, pure thoughts.
When my thoughts are based on Baba's knowledge, then there's more likelihood they're going to be pure thoughts. Say, for example, when I see you, and I just see you as someone in a black body, but I'm responding to you in that way, then my thoughts are not going to be ones of pure love and respect for the soul. But when I see you, and I see the shining star in the forehead, then my thoughts are going to be very pure, very loving, full of respect. And so that's one basic factor, but in everything, here's a scene in the drama, and I get emotionally caught up with that scene. It's not going to be a very pure response or pure thoughts, but I'm able to be soul conscious, I'm able to be detached, then I'm able to maintain pure thoughts within that particular scene. And so pure thoughts are based on Baba's knowledge, the reality, the truth, rather than anything limited or anything that's human created. Yeah? Now one more question.
Jayanti, Brother Kuhan from Canada. My question is, when you talk about comparing with the refining fuel for the rocket, and
Sorry?
also refined fuel for the rocket to go above the gravity, you talk about the quality of thoughts. So, as there is the process of refining fuel, do you have any mechanism for quality thoughts?
It's connected with what I shared with my sister, and that is that if I keep in my mind Baba's Murli, then Baba's Murli is really the source of pure thoughts. Baba's teaching me how to see a situation, how to respond to another, and so my pure thoughts are really based on what I've heard from Baba and the way Baba's teaching me to see myself, to see God, to see other people, to see the world, to see the drama. And so the process for creating pure thoughts is, again, just connecting back to the Murli, which is why, again, Baba's Murli every single day is so valuable, because I might know the Gyan, and after having heard the Murlis now, how many times? 8 times, in terms of the cycle of the Murlis, yet still, hearing the Murli this morning has again filled this container with those pure thoughts, and so it becomes very important to just keep refilling the container. Yeah? Okay. Okay, this is a song I was telling you about.
ये मत कहो खुदा से मेरी मुश्किलें बड़ी हैं, ये मत कहो खुदा से मेरी मुश्किलें बड़ी हैं, ये मुश्किलों से कह दो मेरा खुदा बड़ा है। आती है आंधियाँ तो कर उनका खैर मकदम, आती है आंधियाँ तो कर उनका खैर मकदम, तूफान से ही तो लड़ने खुदा ने तुझे गढ़ा है। ये मत कहो खुदा से मेरी मुश्किलें बड़ी हैं, ये मुश्किलों से कह दो मेरा खुदा बड़ा है, मेरा खुदा बड़ा है। खुदा बड़ा है।